Hello and welcome to ISPP. My name is Dr. Tina Simmons and I run the enrollment process. And this is my program overview. This should take about 15 minutes, but I do have a longer version available. Happy to provide the link if you would like access to that. But for now, I'm going to try and get everything in here in about 15 minutes or so. So let's jump right in. I'm also always happy to connect one-on-one if that would be helpful. We are the Illinois School of Professional Psychology at National Louis University, also known as ISPP. We were founded in 1976 and obtained APA accreditation initially in 1985, making us among the oldest PsyD programs in the country. In 2019, we came to National Louis University, and we have two buildings downtown at 18 South Michigan and 122 South Michigan. We've got about 1,800 alumni worldwide, so we've been training clinical psychologists for quite some time. As mentioned, our PsyD program is APA accredited, and we received the maximum 10 years APA accreditation during our last site visit. So our next site visit isn't until 2031. So we were founded by this group of psychologists, educators, and other professionals who were looking for this clinical psychology degree that really emphasized teaching and practical clinical work over the research oriented academic approach for the PhD degree. And today we continue to still offer that practitioner scholar model. And my students, once they graduate, are able to pursue licensure as a health service psychologist, AKA clinical psychologist. And the way that we train students is, of course, through classroom exercises, personal reflection, and supervised field experience. And I think one of the things that my students enjoy the most about our program is that connection with our faculty. There's not this divide, you have to make an appointment to see everybody. If we accept you into our program, we will do whatever we can to get you across that finish line. And I really believe that. And you can see in this photo above me some of our recent graduates of our PsyD program. And so I'm talking specifically about our PsyD and clinical psychology program. You might notice we do have a Master of Arts in clinical psychology, but that is embedded within the PsyD. So my students earn it automatically after their second year. You're not able to pursue the Master's in clinical psychology by itself. We do have some concentrations within the PsyD program, including client-centered, health, trauma, and child and adolescent. And really what pursuing a concentration does, it just streamlines your electives and it allows students who have a very particular interest to go deeper in that area. Don't worry if you don't have a concentration in mind. Most of our students end up not declaring one, but should you have interest in one of these particular areas, it would allow you to take all of your elective courses under that particular umbrella and hopefully get your training experiences working with that population as well. Concentrations do not add any extra time into the program, so that's important to know. Couple FAQs about ISPP. We've got about 115 students in our program total from first year through fifth year. And every year we have a fall start, and there are about 45 new students in the program every year. It's 112 credits total, but the most important thing to know on this slide is that our program is offered in a highly engaged, traditional, face-to-face format. And classes are held in person during the day at our downtown Chicago location. And these classes can be anywhere between the hours of 9 and 6. So students should expect to be on campus 3 to 4 days a week during their first year, and then 2 to 3 days a week in years 2 through 4. Your fifth year is a year-long paid internship, which can be anywhere in the country. So students can work, but it does need to be something flexible or part-time. I can take transfer credit. I know sometimes we do have students with master's degrees. There are some caveats that are associated with that, and I'm happy to review those with you should you have a master's degree and want me to look a little more closely. So let's dive into our curriculum. We're looking at our first year here. Year one, you're doing about 32 credits of the coursework. One thing that I think is really unique about our program and important to know is that for your first year, you're just doing classes. We really want to honor that first year experience, no matter what background our students have. It's a shift in thinking to be trained at the doctoral level. So we want to make sure you're really investing the time and getting the knowledge you need to then go out into the community and work with clients. Couple classes I like to highlight, namely professionalization group. That is your kind of lovingly, we joke and call it homeroom for grad school. And I love that it's taught by either Dr. Leah Horvath, our department chair, or Dr. Kristen Newberry, who is our director of training. And that is so that our students get to know our leadership very well and that they get to know you and that they're in the classroom right there with you. And so you'll have one professor for one semester and then you'll flip the opposite semester. We also offer assessment courses within this. One of the things psychologists can do that other mental health professionals are not doing is that idea of assessment. So that's IQ testing, personality testing, maybe neuropsych assessment, forensic assessment, all of that. You are trained in these different assessment measures in your first year to prepare you for your diagnostic practicum in year 2. Classes in fall are 14 weeks. Classes in winter are 14 weeks. And then in the summer, you'll have class for 7.5 weeks. You will not have class in July and August. And again, I'm going quick for this. I do have a longer recorded version available, and I'm always happy to chat one-on-one. Year 2, it's about 29.5 credits. And so you're looking at about 11 credits in fall, about 13 in winter, and 7.5 in that summer session. And then the big thing that takes place in your second year is that diagnostic practicum. So that as your training practicum, and this is going to be about 16 to 20 hours a week over the course of 9 to 12 months. And this is 650 hours. This is experience that's actually in the field, but it's important to know we do have a training department that's here to help support you. So you're not just calling up sites randomly like, hey, do you need an extern? No, we guide you in that application process. And so another thing I like to highlight is that for our program, there's not one theoretical approach that we say everybody must follow. Instead, we offer 4, and everybody has to take an entire class. So one in client-centered, family systems, CBT, and psychoanalytic. So you really have that deep knowledge of each of those theoretical orientations, even if you find that you gravitate toward one over the other. In year 3, you are going to start your dissertation, and you'll see here that you've got a dissertation proposal development course, which is a really great course taught by, it's small, maybe 7, 8 students, and it's taught by a core faculty member, and that person will be your dissertation chair. And one of the things that's different with the PsyD program is that you are coming in with your interests, your research ideas, and our faculty are going to help you make it into something that's researchable and doable before you graduate. So that is a big difference. I would recommend knowing a little bit about what you might want to write your dissertation on should you be invited to interview, because you might be asked about that. So you'll see my students basically go to school year round. And I do want to mention that we've got a requirement of 3 diversity courses. One of them is in your first year, and then you'll take one of them in one of your advanced years. And it's really important for us that our students be clinically competent across a multidimensionality of different backgrounds. And so we define diversity broadly. It's not just race, although that's certainly a huge component. It's disability status, sexual orientation, socioeconomic status, all of the above. And so we really want to make sure that our students are able to work across a wide range of population. We're in downtown Chicago. Chances are you're going to be working with clients in the field from different backgrounds than you, and we really want to make sure you're culturally competent. So you will continue to write your dissertation each semester until you finish. And then your 4th year, finishing up your electives. And the big thing that takes place in your 4th year is internship application. I forgot to mention year 3, you're doing therapy practicum. So you have a diagnostic practicum in year 2, therapy practicum in year 3, which is another 650 hours at a different site. And then in year 4, you have an advanced practicum, which is an additional 500 hours. And that really just integrates everything you've learned in the previous years. You're also applying to internship, which feels like a full-time job in and of itself. And that very last year is your full-time paid internship. You can technically sit for licensure in any state as a graduate of our program. Long story short, we require 2,000 hours of internship, but you do have to sit for licensure as a clinical psychologist in whatever state it is you wish to practice. There are some capstone assignments along the way throughout the program, and then the EPPP it's the scientific capstone. It mimics the EPPP. That takes place usually right after your therapy practicum, and these are benchmarks you have to pass in order to matriculate on through the program. Dissertation, I mentioned, it requires you to articulate a particular set of clinical questions and answer them via a literature review and a presentation of data. So you do have to do a dissertation defense or present at a conference. This can be qualitative, experimental, quasi-experimental, case study. Generally, we hope it's completed within 12 to 18 months, although it does sometimes take a bit longer, and I've got some sample CRP topics there. As mentioned, our program does lead to licensure, and each state does have specific requirements, and you can head to the ISPP website for more information about that. Where do psychologists work? The answer is everywhere. They work in private practice, child psych hospitals, all of the above. You can head to ONET online for up-to-date data about that. And the median wage from 2022 was $90,130. Here are our faculty. We've got 7 core full-time faculty, and I've listed below their rank as a professor as well as their areas of specialty. I've got a lot of links built within here, and so I'm happy to provide a link to this presentation for anybody that needs it, but just know that National Louis provides a ton of resources to our students, and here is a link that you can go to for a virtual tour. All right, so how do we pay for it? What does funding look like? Our tuition is $11.62 per credit hour, and it's 112 credits total. So you're looking at about $130,000 for the entire PsyD program, but remembering that it is actually a dual program, you get a master's and a PsyD. Fees are $175 a semester, and there's 3 semesters a year. There's some optional fees as well, including a UPass, which is an unlimited train ticket, and student health insurance. So that's the cost. And how do people pay for it? Of course, you can apply through FAFSA for federal student loans. And if my students qualify, they're looking at being able to borrow up to $33,000 per academic year in student loans. And the lifetime loan limit for students in the PsyD program that's APA accredited goes up to $224,000. There's also something called a Graduate Plus loan, and you'd be able to apply for that. That is a credit-based loan that allows students to borrow additional funding. We do have some scholarships. Our largest is that Director's Scholarship, which is a 25% discount on tuition. We also have some smaller scholarships within our department in diversity and leadership. Those are both $5,000, and I've linked the applications here. National Louis offers some scholarships. It's a 15% discount for alumna, 15% for community heroes, including first responders and military, as well as some donor-funded scholarships. We also have a fellowship called CLAVE, which provides an award for students that are Latinx or BIPOC students that are applying for that particular award. There are TAs positions, teaching assistantships, as well as work study positions. And I've also included some information about loan repayment. Sometimes, depending on the type of work that you do, if it's in a nonprofit, you might be able to have some of your loans forgiven. We do have some required foundation courses. There are 5 courses. You don't have to have a full bachelor's degree in psychology to start this program, but I need students to have Intro to Psychology or General Psych, Abnormal Psychology, Stats or Research Methods, and then 2 additional courses in psychology of any kind. And those would need to be completed before you start the program, not necessarily before you apply. You've got to earn a grade of B or better in those. Finally, this is how to apply. We are looking for a minimum 3.0 undergrad GPA or 3.25 or better from a master's degree. And you will submit your application through PsyCAS. You can click on that link there. It's an $85 application fee. We're also looking for a personal statement, which should be 2 to 4 pages, really addressing your self-appraisal of your qualifications for the profession, a resume, transcripts from all schools attended, and 3 letters of recommendation. At least 1, if not more, should be from faculty members. GRE are optional. And the deadline to submit is December 15th. After that, once you submit a completed application, it will be reviewed, and then I will let you know if you've been invited to interview at one of our interview days with some of our faculty members. So if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to connect with you one-on-one. Again, I'm Dr. Tina Simmons. There's my email, my office number, and a link to set up a one-on-one appointment with me. Thank you so much for taking a look at ISPP, and I look forward to connecting soon.